channel. Today, what we're going to be doing is going over some items that you might want to keep in your car in the winter. Since it's getting cold now, I think we're actually expecting like 6 to 8 inches of snow here this weekend. And where my mother lives over in North Carolina, they're expecting like 2 feet. I don't ever want to live anywhere it gets 2 feet of snow. But, you know, these are some items that you might want to think about keeping in your vehicle during the winter months. So in case something happens, you know, you can kind of make your life a little bit better and not as miserable as it could be. Not saying that if you get stuck in the snow or the cold, it won't be miserable, but these items might help you out a little bit. Now, some of these items I may keep in my vehicle for long trips, like if I'm going to Florida, but I've got to go through North Carolina, or if I'm going somewhere else, it's a long trip. I'll probably keep these items in my vehicle for the longer trips, and some of these are just items maybe to get back and forth to work or something like that. So let's dig into what I have here and see if you can come up with anything that you like better or that you may have in your vehicle. Add them to the in the comment section. Maybe I'll add that to my vehicle, and maybe these will give you some ideas to keep in yours. Okay, so first off, one of the main things is, you know, in the wintertime, a lot of batteries go dead. I mean, it happens. You have an older battery or something like that, worked all the way through the summer. Then you got in winter months, you know, batteries are affected by the cold and heat. So you get in the winter months, you go outside, you've been at work or something like that. Let's say you work at like, I don't know, a gas station or somewhere like that where you actually have to close and there's no one around, and you walk out to your car after you've closed, or a fast food restaurant or anywhere that you could be the only person in the parking lot. You get in your car, you hit the switch, it just clicks. That's a bad situation. So, I know today we all have cell phones and stuff like that. I'm shooting on the GoPro, my cell phone's on the table. We all have cell phones and you can call somebody to come help you, but why have to sit in the cold or have to go back inside and turn off the alarm or something like that when you can possibly fix that yourself? There are numerous items out there today. When I had my Ford F-150 EcoBoost, it was a 6-cylinder. And I actually bought this little kit right here. It's by Red Fuel. These things do work. I actually did jump a car off with this one. It was a 4-cylinder, but this is rated up to a 6-cylinder. It comes with your owner's manual and also some alligator clips and stuff to plug in. It is rated for reverse polarity, so you can't mess it up really. It does have a flashlight on the back, and this has, you know, like I said, jumped off one vehicle, so I do know that it does work. I actually jumped off my wife's old car with this, not her old car, but her previous car. It wasn't old, but the battery was low on it. We jumped it off. I think she left the headlights on or something, and we jumped it off, and it worked perfectly. So, but you do have to get these rated for your vehicle. You know, this was up to a 6-cylinder. Now that I have the Tundra, it does have the 5.7 V8, so I would actually have to buy the V8 version, which I do not have. So keep that in mind when you go to buy one of these. You have to get the right cylinder. You can also get something like this. This is actually what I keep in my truck when I go on long trips and stuff like that, or just in the winter time a lot. It does have like a battery status mode. You can see that the battery did light up all the way. It has on and off. It has a USB port underneath here and also a cigarette lighter. It does have an air compressor on the back. That is one thing that I really like about this unit, is it does have an air compressor, so in the winter times, a lot of times your tires may get low. You can use this to actually pump up your tires. And then of course you got your alligator clips here to put on your battery and jump it off. And these items right here, the one reason I suggested these first was because you don't have to have anybody else to help you use these. You can do these totally by yourself. You don't have to have another vehicle or anything like that. It's all self-sufficient. Now, you can carry jumper cables. They are cheaper than these options. But in the instance that you are alone or by yourself, then you either have to depend on like a stranger to help you, which isn't always the safest option, or you have to wait on someone to get there to help jump off your vehicle. So that's the reason I like these two options better, but I do have jumper cables that are just in the basement. I do usually carry one of these two options instead. And I do want to say I have used the big box a lot. I've had that box for many years, and I've probably jumped off 15 vehicles with that box. Not just mine, but I was at a concert one time, a guy pulled out in the crowd, right out in the middle of everybody trying to leave this concert, and his car just died and it wouldn't start back. And nobody could get in there to jump him off because nobody could get to the front of his vehicle. So that was another instance where something that is self-sufficient like this, self-contained, I guess I should say, is a better option than having jumper cables. Let me turn my phone on vibrate. Okay, next is, I'm a big proprietor like EDC. So, you always want to have some kind of medical on you. You never know if you're in a car crash or something like that, or something happens and, you get injured. A little bit of medical, it can go a long way. Now, I do have a bigger medical kit in my truck. This is just what I carry on my body. I didn't go out to my truck to get my kit, but this is what I keep on my person. I also have a multi-tool of some sort. I always carry this little multi-tool on me. It is the Leatherman S2 Juice. I also have the Wave here, but I have like a Wingman or something that stays in my truck all the time. So that gives me a little bit of tools that I can use right there. But I want to let you know that I also carry like a small toolkit. I don't have that in here. I didn't go get it. It's cold outside. But you can also carry a big toolkit. I do carry this big Craftsman toolkit. When I go on vacation, I keep that in the bed of my truck. So in case something happens, I'm not the most mechanically inclined person, but in case something happens, I do have something that if I know how to fix it, I have the availability to do so. Also flashlights, something like these Malkoff MD3 or MD2. You also have Surefire, but if you don't want to spend the money on like Malkoff or Surefire, those can be a little pricey if that's not in your budget. You can get the Olights like this S2 Baton, or this is going to represent a Maglite. I have a Maglite. I don't know where it's at, but the Duracell light, it does work. It's very bright. It does have a strobe mode, but I don't think, I'd want to use this in a big impact or something like that. I'm not sure. It is LED, so it may stand up to it, but I've just never put this thing to the test. And, it is Duracell. I like their batteries, but I don't know about their lights. But if I was going to carry a big light like this, I'd probably splurge for just a little bit more and go with a Maglite. Next, so we've covered some EDC stuff. And your cell phone, I always make sure you have your cell phone on you. That's your number one line right there. You want to have like some gloves. Now these gloves aren't insulated. I do keep some insulated gloves in my truck in the wintertime. And in the summertime, I usually keep something like, I guess these are like Trade Masters or something like that. I got these at Home Depot. They're fairly cheap, but these have been really, really good gloves. I seen a review on these on YouTube years ago, and I ran out and bought a pair just to test them. And you can see they have a lot of wear on them, but these things just hold up. And I do have a brand new pair of mechanics gloves that I keep on like my plate carrier, but I brought them in here just to show. And in the wintertime, like I said, I carry insulated gloves in my vehicle because if you have to get out and change a tire or something like that, you want your hands to stay warm, so I usually carry insulated gloves. Another thing I want to show you on this that I didn't show before is if you have this, it does have a little LED light on it. So, you can't sit that down beside your vehicle while you're changing the tire and illuminate the area. It'll help keep you more safe for oncoming traffic or something like that. Also illuminate your work area so you can see a little bit better. Speaking of illuminated area, you might want to keep some road flares. I'm not a stickler for that. I don't have any of those in my vehicles, but it probably is a good idea to keep some road flares. Just throwing that out there. Next is like clothing. So, a lot of people work, now where I work we have a uniform dress code thing, but it's not like a dress wear. So, especially for like females, if you have to dress up for work and you wear skirts or dresses or something like that, if you break down, you have to walk or something like that, you're going to get pretty cold. I mean, it's just a fact the way it is. Dresses don't keep you the warmest. So maybe throw in like some wool socks and some good pants. Now these are just Carhartts and they're big and baggy and stuff like that, but it's got like a really good canvasy material. I'm pretty sure we probably all know what Carhartts are. And you may want to throw in like a little beanie hat or a toboggan or something like that. This is just a little beanie from like Under Armour. It's fairly warm. It's not the warmest one I've ever had, but you might want to keep something like that. Make sure you have like a good jacket. This is just an old jacket I had. I think it's from Abercrombie & Fitch or something. Or maybe even throw in like a hoodie. And you might be thinking, oh, and also a pair of shoes. You know, if you're dressing up for work or something like that, and you have to dress up, like I said, especially to the females out there, a lot of times you have to wear heels or some kind of nice shoes, and those are not going to be good to walk in the snow with or anything like that. So keep a good pair of shoes in your car. These are Obos. They're not insulated. I actually don't own a pair of insulated shoes because we don't get that much cold weather here where it's just so cold you can't just wear like a good pair of like hiking shoes or hiking boots or something like that. But these things have awesome tread. You can see on the bottom. These are actually probably one of my favorite pair of shoes that I own, and I can highly suggest recommend Obos. But keep a good pair of shoes in there. And it's not just the women. I was just saying that because a lot of times when they dress up, their shoes and outfits won't keep them as warm as like a male counterpart that would have to wear a suit. So the dress clothes on equal sides of the gender can be debated, but obviously if you wear a suit and a coat, you're going to be warmer than a dress and a pair of heels. So, but also if you're a male, you can carry all this stuff too. I do carry extra clothes in my bug out bag most of the time, but before we get the bug out bag, also throw in like a blanket. Keep like a throw or a blanket. A wool blanket is probably the best. But if you have like a throw or something like that, I do keep a throw in the vehicle. It's just a black one, solid black. That way you don't even see it. Tucks up underneath the seat, blends in with the carpet. Nobody even knows it's there. But if something happens and I have to get stuck or I do get stuck or something like that, I have to stay in the vehicle, at least I do have some extra protection to keep me warm as far as like clothing and then the blanket as well. In the bug out bag, I always carry a bug out bag with me just about everywhere I go. In a vehicle wise, you know, I don't carry it like Walmart or somewhere like that. But, you know, I have ways to make fire in here. So in case something happens and you have to abandon your vehicle, I don't suggest that. Vehicle is shelter. You may get cold, but it is shelter. But if you do have to do that, I have a bug out bag. This isn't like a 3-day bag or something like that. It's more like a get home bag. I do have like several different ways to make fire in here. Lighters, fire starter or fire strikers, Paraceum rods. I have several different tenders in here. I have a couple packs of water, fixed blade knife. Also have like a metal thermos where I can boil water and stuff like that. I have this video up on. I'll try to link it to the end so you can see what I keep in here. And I always keep like a pair of pants and like a light jacket in here as well. So if something happens, I do have clothing in here as well and ways to keep warm and like a Mylar blanket for shelter. That is another valuable option to make sure you have with you for shelter and like ways to keep warm. So to carry on, knives. I know that I skipped some of the EDC stuff, but I just looked down and seen that I forgot to mention knives. You don't have to carry like a, you know, like a knife like this Chris Reeves. This Victorinox would probably work just as well depending on what you're doing. And it will also give you some tools to work with. I also always have a watch on me. In a situation like that, I'd probably rather have a G-Shock than anything, but any watch you have, it's not really critical, but I just like having watches on me. This thing does have a compass though, so if you get lost or something, you can use the G-Shock for a compass. Okay, so if you don't want to use a big bug out bag, you can have something like this small Maxpedition. Now I have ammo in here. Whenever I go to the range, sometimes I carry ammo in this bag. But I will tell you that I did use this to carry food and water and stuff like that while I was in Disney World. It's a great bag for that, just slung across my shoulder. Kept some water in here and some Cliff bars and stuff like that. So you could use something like this. If you don't have a great big car or a great big vehicle to store all this stuff, you could use something like this to store like fire starting equipment, some food and water and stuff like that. It does have a place on the side you could put like a metal thermos or something so that you could start or boil water with if you needed to, but that does not take up very much space in a vehicle. So last but not least, so we've covered how to keep your vehicle started, you know, if your battery dies. We've covered gloves and warmth and EDC and bug out bags. The last thing, and tools, we also covered tools. The last thing I can really think of would be some kind of personal protection. Just in case your car breaks down, you're in a bad neighborhood or something like that, I always have something like my Glock 43 or this Dynamic Weapons Solutions custom Glock go check out Dynamic Weapon Solutions. They do great slide work. This is an awesome pistol. Go check them out if you're looking for something like that. But I always keep one of these two in my vehicle. And if you want to go a step further, you can also keep a bag something like this. I have reviewed this bag before. In this bag, let me slide this stuff back. In this bag, on the side here, depending on where you live or what kind of neighborhood you're in and the laws that you have, I do keep like an AR pistol, fully decked out with an aim point and a light and stuff like that. So if I know I'm going to a place that I've not been before and I don't know what kind of neighborhood it is, this is covered under my carry permit. And a lot of times I will throw this in my vehicle, especially when I go on vacation or something like that. And as long as the law will allow it, and I do check those laws before I go. In this bag, I also have like knives and gloves. You see a redundancy in a lot of my bags, because here's another pair of mechanics gloves. Here's an Emerson knife. I have flashlights and stuff like that in here, and also some fire starting material, or ways to start fire. So there are a lot of redundancies in all these bags and options, and that's just, you know, the way you should be to keep safe and maintain a safe lifestyle. So that's my video. I hope this might have given you some ideas on some things that you might want to keep in your car. I think some of the bigger things are the starters for like when your battery goes dead, and the warm clothing. I do believe that safety is a big deal, but you know, if you freeze to death, it doesn't matter if you had a gun, because nobody attacked you, then you froze to death. But I do believe that, you know, safety is a primary option as well, but being able to start your vehicle and stay warm, those are two huge things. So if you do nothing else or take nothing else out of this video, get something to start your vehicle, especially something like one of these two items that will start it without any help. Or also keep some warm clothing in there, just in case that you have to spend the night. Let's hope that never happens. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.